Hey there, it's Dr. Steph. Today's topic is an important one that not all pet owners consider when adopting a new member of the family: the cost of veterinary care. Depending on your pet's health status, veterinary care can be expensive, or in emergency cases, unexpected. These are stressful factors, and they lead to difficult decisions that would likely be easier with the appropriate planning. So we're going to talk about 4 big tips I have for protecting your pet. Today, we're making a berry cobbler. It's such an easy recipe, and it's delicious and absolutely gorgeous to serve with a dollop of whipped cream to your friends and family. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 4 of Dig In with Dr. Steph. I'm Dr. Steph, a veterinarian who loves to bake. In my videos, we'll talk about a pet care topic while we bake a fun recipe. If you like my videos and want to see more baking and pet care topics or my dog walk talks, make sure to subscribe. If you're a new subscriber, leave me a comment below so that I can personally welcome you to my channel. If you're more interested in the recipe for this berry cobbler, skip to the time above to get to the recipe. I also post all my recipes and more fun information on my website at dogtorsteph.com. Think back to the first time you adopted a pet. Maybe you went to the shelter, maybe you shopped around with a breeder, or maybe your best friend just showed up one day. You now have a furry companion to walk you through life, but you also need to think about how to best care for them. If it's a puppy or a kitten, it may need a series of vaccinations, exams, dewormers, and tests. Maybe they still need to be spayed or neutered. The first series of vaccinations and exams for your pet can cost somewhere in the hundreds of dollars. If it's an emergency and your pet needs a surgery or to be hospitalized for a few days, then we may be talking the thousands of dollars. A 2019 to 2020 survey on pet owner expenses revealed that pet owners in the US spend about $1,380 per year on basic needs for their dogs, and about $908 per year on basic needs for their cats. So something to ask yourself before you get a pet is, can I afford to be a pet owner? As a pet owner, we're taking on the needs of another being, and it's our responsibility to be able to care for them. So let's talk about 4 big tips I have for the cost of veterinary care. Tip number 1, remember, the cost of your dog does not equal the cost of veterinary care. Whether it's a free dog from the animal shelter or a thousands of dollars purebred pup, their veterinary care is going to cost the same. Emergencies can happen, and they can happen the minute you get your dog. I personally have a free rescue mutt that I got from a shelter on an adoption day, and he had to be hospitalized immediately after I got him for 3 days for a neurologic disease. Definitely not something I was expecting. The unexpected happens. It happens to everybody. And it has nothing to do with how much money you spent on your dog. Which brings me to point number 2. Your pet's breed, age, and medical history may play into the cost of veterinary care. Some breeds are more likely to need intensive veterinary care, such as brachycephalic breeds. If you haven't watched my video on brachycephalic airway syndrome, be sure to check that one out. Your adorable Frenchie may need soft palate surgery to be able to breathe normally, and that's a cost that a non-brachycephalic breed is unlikely to need. Pets with previously existing health conditions are more likely to have higher veterinary costs, and as our pets get older, just like us, they're more likely to incur costs as well. Tip number 3, make an emergency fund and budget in advance. Talk about how much you are willing and able to spend on your pet's care, including the event of an emergency. Sit down with your family and discuss. If our pet had an emergency, how much can we allocate to that? When an emergency does happen, you are not going to want to think through your budget and try to figure out numbers while your pet's sick. So eliminate the added stress of trying to budget in panic mode and plan in advance. It's a really great idea to set aside an emergency fund that you can use if something like this happens. We want to be able to do everything we can to help diagnose and treat your pet, but we understand that it's also not always financially feasible. If you have a pet, I recommend putting aside a little bit of money with each paycheck. Make it a habit into an emergency fund, and it will come in handy when you need it most. Tip number 4. Consider pet insurance. Did you know that only 2.1% of all pets in the US are estimated to have pet insurance? Most, if not all, vet clinics require payment at the time of service. This is because insurance is not as prevalent in veterinary medicine as it is in human medicine. So we can't usually just bill an insurance company like you can at the hospital. There are a lot of different pet insurance options out there, and they can really offset the cost of your vet bill, as reimbursement percentages are usually pretty high. Some companies even offer their employees pet insurance as part of their benefits package. So if that's an opportunity for you, I recommend you take it. Remember though that pet insurance is usually a reimbursement-based process. So payment is still due to your vet clinic at the time of service or at the time of pickup from hospitalization. I've personally used insurance before, and the claims process took about a couple weeks to process, but I definitely think that it's worth it. In the end, if you can handle paying up front for your vet bill to be reimbursed later, it can really help you out. I hope these things were helpful, and thank you for watching. Remember that your vet understands that costs, and especially emergency costs, can really make vet care difficult. I encourage you to do the most advanced planning that you can do to make things the most manageable possible for you and your pet. Keep watching for the recipe at the end of this video, and if you like my videos, make sure to hit subscribe to stay up to date. See you next time.